Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over how to gem your rogue in TBC. I'm going to be covering both raiding and PvP. So let's get right into it. So first of all, I want to talk about what are gems. Gems are items created by jewel crafters that can go into armor when the item has gem sockets. There are going to be gems that you can get outside of jewel crafting, but there's going to be green, blue, and epic gems. Epic gems are going to be more widely available later in TBC. Early on, you're mainly going to be using blue gems, although you can use green if you want to put them in like temporary pieces, as they can get expensive. When it comes to the actual sockets themselves, you can see clearly this item has sockets and space for gems. It's going to tell you a color for the socket and a socket bonus. Now the color only matters if you intend on reaching the socket bonus. So you're going to find it's pretty common in TBC to completely ignore socket bonuses and go straight for the best gem available and slot it into all the slots. Now, there's three different type of slots. You've got red, blue, and yellow, and you can fill the gems, obviously, with red, blue, and yellow gems if you want to hit that socket bonus. But there's also secondary colors that include purple, green, and orange, and you kind of get the deal, right? Orange would meet yellow and red. It's like the color wheel, and these are the secondary colors. So a few different ways you can try and meet socket bonuses, and that's how the basic gems work. Now there's also these things called meta gems. Now how meta gems work is they fit in some helmets. Not every helmet has a meta socket. So I'll shift right click here, and that's how you bring up the socketing menu. And you're able to put a gem into a helmet, and you're able to socket it, right? Now you can't fit any other gem into that meta socket. So it's the only gem slot type where you cannot put whatever you want. So you can only put meta gems in that meta socket. And when you put a meta gem into a helmet, it usually has a requirement. And other gems don't have that same restriction, but you can see here another example of a meta gem that requires you to have 2 red gems, 2 yellow gems, 2 blue gems, some sort of gem requirement for the effect to activate. And if you don't meet the requirement, obviously it doesn't do anything. So that is how the meta gems work. Now, moving past that into just kind of the philosophy behind gemming, you want to generally gem your best stat so long as you can get it efficiently from a gem. So for a combat rogue, hit rating is your best stat, and you're going to want to gem for hit rating. So a lot of your gems are going to be filled with rigid dawn stones. At the very least, your yellow gems are going to be rigid dawn stones, unless you hit cap, which we'll cover in a minute here. When it comes to the red gems, you're not going to opt for the delicate living ruby at first. You're going to focus on the glinting noble topaz again because you really like hit, and you can put this in your red sockets to satisfy socket bonuses. Now, as you're just like a general rule, most red and yellow socket bonuses are going to be worth meeting the requirement for, so long as the socket bonus isn't completely useless, because both red and yellow gems are going to be really good for your rogue. Unfortunately, the best blue gem available is for agility 6 stamina, which if you compare is just significantly less offensive stats than the other gems, and for that reason you are not going to be using blue socket bonuses hardly ever, and you really are going to try not to use blue gems unless you need to for example a meta socket. But if you do need to, this is your best blue gem. Now past that, you are going to follow that priority, use yellows in yellow, use the glinting noble topaz when you need to, but you're going to realize as you're gearing out your rogue, as you approach about 270 hit rating, you're going to realize you're not really getting any benefit to hit against most mobs. And around that 270 hit rating mark, you're going to realize that, and it depends based on what debuffs and buffs your group has, but generally it's around 270 where further hit is not going to do anything unless you're hitting a raid boss. So around that point, a lot of rogues like to stop putting hit onto their into their gem slots. They want to slow down on getting hit. They kind of want to cap out around 270, as any additional hit isn't going to help against trash and would only help against, for example, a raid boss. So if you are in that situation, which you probably will hit that situation if you get full best in slot or near it, in phase 1. You're going to stop socketing 8 hit rating, and you're going to start putting in 8 agility as your kind of de facto gem, and you're going to use the glinting noble topaz in yellow sockets, whereas you'd use the delicate living ruby in red. So you kind of swap up your strategy if you end up getting too much hit. You probably won't need to do that for every single gem slot, but you'll see you just need to mitigate enough hit, reduce your hit enough if you get too much, so that you're right around 270 hit rating. So that is the deal for PvE. Your best PvE meta gem is going to be the Swift Skyfire Diamond early on, but later on you're going to be able to use the Relentless Ursorn Diamond, which isn't in the game from the start but will unlock later. Over to PvP now. So PvP also uses the same meta gem, so I'll just start there. It's particularly useful in PvP to use the Swift Skyfire Diamond because it allows you to put a different enchant on your boots called Sure-Footed, and that allows you to, like, some snare resistance, which is really nice. When it comes to the gemming, your best gem is actually going to be 16 attack power. Now, your gemming is different in PvP because when you're PvPing, hit rating is not as good. You're not doing as much damage with your auto attacks because you're missing a lot of key combat talents that are really good for hit rating, like dual wield spec, like combat potency. So you're not going to be going for full hit, and in fact, crit is better than hit in PvP. So you're also going to be going for the crit in the attack power gem as your yellow socket filler. So mainly going to be putting bright living rubies in everything, but Wicked Noble Topaz are going to fill out the yellows when you need a socket set bonus. Now your gem does change a little bit for the blue, again, because attack power is better in PvP than PvE. You're going to use 8 AP and 6 stamina. Another reason why you would be using attack power instead of the agility gem is because you are less likely to have Blessing of Kings in PvP. So agility just isn't quite as good as it is when you're raiding. But yeah, that's the general philosophy. And I can give you some examples, right? So this item has a terrible socket bonus for dodge rating. So you would, if you were raiding, you would socket 3 hit rating gems into the item. And if you were PvPing, you would socket 3 attack power gems. Now, let's take another example. Let's take the Nether Blade Face Mask. This has a really good socket set bonus, so you're definitely going to put your best red gem into it. It's pretty simple, right? Going across the board, 4 stamina is not the greatest socket bonus, even in PvP. So you're going to put your best available gem into the item and ignore that socket bonus. The chest, right? 4 agility is not terrible, but unfortunately it means you have to use a blue socket bonus and 1 non-ideal socket. So if you were to be PvEing, it's not really worth giving up 2 ideal gems for the set bonus. So you're probably not going to be using the socket bonus in this case, unless for some reason you wanted the bonus stamina. Keep in mind, just as a rule of thumb, in a lot of situations when you're looking at a blue socket, right, you might think, well, wait, that's weird. It's for agility. That's a good socket bonus. The problem is it has a blue socket. And if you're looking at the difference between a blue gem and a red gem, you can already see that a blue gem is half the benefit of a red gem, right? So already you are missing half the value. So even though that socket bonus gives you 4 agility, well, you lose 4 agility simply by using the blue gem. Then you consider that you have to use a second gem that is not optimal, and then you can see that you're going to actually lose out on damage. So just a couple examples there. Hopefully that answered all your questions on gemming. Let me know if you have any other questions, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.